Hey there, Facebook listeners and watchers. This is Dr. Rowland Reyna. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday series. This is the first of an educational series for our patients, so we can give you some important information about your health care and also so you can get to know some of our doctors. I'm Dr. Rowland Reyna. I'm one of the founders of HealthTexas. HealthTexas has been here for 26 years. I'm from San Antonio, went to Jefferson High School. My background is I went to Stanford University on the West Coast, Stanford Medical School, did my training at University of Texas Southwestern. I've been now in practice for 36 years. I went back and got a board certification in geriatrics. I went back and got an MBA in healthcare management. And about 12 years or so ago, I got a board certification in anti-aging restorative medicine. And that's a branch of medicine that many of our doctors focus on as well, trying to do things in a natural way. Not always doing things with medication. The term for that is called functional medicine. And we like to do things naturally that improve your quality of life and lengthen your life actually. So today, speaking of which, I'm going to talk about how to live to be 100 years old. Now, a lot of times people say, well, my parents died when they were 40, 50 years old. They developed diabetes. They had all these problems. I'm probably not going to live too long either. But what I want to tell you is that about 80% of what determines how long we live is not related to your genes, but rather to your lifestyle. And if you can make certain changes in your life, that could potentially add at least 10 years to your life, if not more than that. So it's a question of lifestyle. It's a question of philosophy of life. It's a question of living your life in a healthy way. It's a question of staying active. People who stay active, they live longer. People who have exposure and who are with a loving family, they live longer. In fact, if you were to find somebody out in the community, if they go to the emergency room, and one of the things that helps determine how long somebody will live, and these are the things we look at, is number one, do you have your family with you? Do you have your children who are taking care of you, who are there with you? Because that's one of the prime determinations as to how long you live. If you're by yourself, you don't have family with you, that makes it a lot more difficult. So that and one other thing, and that's your functionality. How much do you exercise? How much do you walk? So those are the two things that when I see somebody, that gives me an indication as to what support they have and how much they're able to support themselves. So a lot of the information that I'm going to talk about today comes from a book called The Blue Zones. This was written by Daniel Buettner, and this book, God, it's about 8 years old, but it was really a national bestseller for many years. And I'm gonna give you a quote of Daniel Buettner, the author, and it says, his quote was, "Drink without getting drunk, love without suffering jealousy, eat without overindulging, never argue," good luck on that one, "and once in a while, with great discretion, misbehave." So I thought that was kind of cool. So live a good life. Don't argue. Sleep, rest, relax, spend time with your family. But the areas in the country, in the world, it was called the Blue Zones because they had a map and they circled the areas in the world where people lived the longest. These are the areas of the world where people lived over 100 years. And these areas are Sardinia, Italy, Okinawa in Japan, and there was one place in the United States, and that's Loma Linda, California. Y'all want to guess why Loma Linda is a part of this? Okay, well, nobody gave me an answer. So the answer is because this is where the Latter-day Saints live, and they live a very pristine life. They're very religious. They don't argue. They rest a lot. People who have religion in life, actually they live longer as well. But that's why Loma Linda, California is one of those areas. There's also an area in Costa Rica called the Nicoya Peninsula. There's some interesting things about the men there I'll talk about. And the last place, the other fifth place, is Ikaria, Greece. So there are about 9 indications. There are 9 things that will allow you to live a good, long life. And again, you can at least add a decade of life by doing these things. Number 1, if you want to write this down, stay active. So many people die the year that they retire. I don't know how often you've seen this, but it's much more likely to die after you retire than the last year of your life. So the bottom line, and I said this before, staying active lengthens your life. The more active you are, the better. So anybody want to guess the reason why that is? Again, I don't hear an answer, so I'm going to tell you. People who live a long life, who are active, activity lowers markers of inflammation. The bottom line is that inflammation is a very bad thing. People who have, unfortunately, connective tissue diseases, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, diabetes, these all are things that increase general inflammation in the body. So one of the natural ways of lowering inflammation is by exercising. They've done studies where you can look at the markers of inflammation, and people who exercise about 45 minutes, 5 or 6 times a week, they live a longer lifestyle. They're much more functional. They're much more active. And they have less diabetes. They have less heart disease. And interestingly enough, they have less Alzheimer's disease. Number 2, family first, guys. Familia. When you spend time with your family, this gives you a purpose in your life. So in these areas of the world, these 5 areas of the world, people who are living there, people who are older, they're revered. They're the elders of the family. They're respected. They give a lot of goal and drive, sometimes financial support to the family, but they're respected. And unfortunately, in this country, some of our old people, some of our older folks are kind of thrown away. And I think it's important that we keep a hold of our people we love, our parents, our grandparents, and in the other direction, the grandparents, the older people, us, we need to pay more attention to our families. They depend on us for child support. I mean, now with all this COVID stuff going on, a lot of parents aren't able to work because the kids are home. I don't know what's going to happen at this point in time, but some of the schools may be closed down when we're talking. So being there as a grandparent to take care of the kids, it gives you a purpose in life. So these things are really very, very important. So family first, always family first, okay? The next thing, number 3, is you want to have a purpose in life. What I find is many times when people retire, they kind of not only leave their work, but they retire from life. And you need to have a purpose in life. The Japanese have a term called ikigai. And with ikigai, that means everybody has to have a reason to get up every morning. You have to get up with a purpose. And people, when they lose that purpose, they lose a purpose to live. So I think that's important, whether it's continue to work out in the community, working with your church, volunteering, caring for your family. If you're living with your family, even better because you're involved with your family. But when you have a purpose in life, you're going to live a longer life. So the Japanese call this ikigai. In Costa Rica, they call it the plan de vida. So just a plan for life. So I think that's critical. And I always tell people, what are you doing? What are you doing that's fun in your life? People stop doing things fun. So have a purpose, have a meaning, do things, help other people. I think that what I find is that when you do things for other people, your life becomes much more meaningful. It's not a question of what's in it for me. It's what can I give to other people. It makes your life much more strong, much more purposeful. Number 4, you got to eat well. If you're eating lots of McDonald's and ice cream and candies, and if you're eating a lot of crap, guess what? You are what you eat. So eating well is important. You want to be careful. You want to make sure you eat lower calories. In all these 5 areas of the world, none of these areas are necessarily vegan or vegetarian, but all of them eat less meat. So you want to eat more fruits, you want to eat more vegetables, but you also want to try to cut down on the meat, particularly fatty foods. Fish is great. If you want to grill it rather than frying, that's great. But, we are a reflection of what we eat, so eat well. Part of that is by drinking lots of water as well. All these areas, to drink lots of water. You want to drink at least 5 or 6 glasses of water a day. The number 5 is you got to slow down. You got to relax. In none of these areas are people all stressed out. They're not on Facebook. Oh, I shouldn't talk about Facebook. They're not on Facebook arguing about, politics and all the different things, the difficulties that we're having in life, they're chill, they're tranquilo, they're having a good life. So people who slow down, people who relax, what happens is that when we get all stressed out, again, we talked about it before, it increases your markers of inflammation. It increases your epinephrine level. It increases your cortisol levels. These are stress hormones. These cause you to die more quickly. So people who slow down and where they relax, they live a longer life, and you've probably seen that. You never want to smoke. Smoking is terrible. If you're smoking, cut it out. You're just going to cut your life short just on the basis of smoking. And it's also difficult to live a good life, and it's difficult to feel well every day if you're not sleeping well. Sleep is critically important. If you're having problems sleeping, don't take sleeping pills. Talk to your doctor about natural things that you can do to help you sleep. But sleep is critical. And I talked a little bit earlier about the men in Costa Rica, in the Nicoya Peninsula. Now they're kind of interesting because they believe that they live a long life because they like to have lots of sex. And in fact, one of the cultural issues, and I'm not implying that we should be doing this here, but some of the older guys like to go out and have sex even outside the marriage. I'm not recommending that. In this country, you're going to have a shorter life. Promise you. I know a good divorce attorney if you need one. But sex is actually important. So people who stay sexually active, they live a longer life, guys, and that might be because maybe they're more active, but the sexual activity is a stress releaser as well. Okay? So number 6, they call this in Japan, there's a term for this, but it's essentially, it's the 80% rule. So when you go out to eat, try not to eat until you're stuffed. Don't get full. They recommend that you stop before you get full. So you want to eat about 80% of the calories that you ordinarily eat. What they find is by doing this, is by not getting full, not getting stuffed, you're actually slowing your metabolism, and you're lowering the amount of toxins that your body produces. So don't eat until you're stuffed. Eat until you feel satisfied, but not entirely stuffed, okay? The number 6 rule is, Jimmy Buffett, I guess, said it maybe best when he said it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Is that the same? It's 5 o'clock sometime. But anyway, the point of that is, in every one of these areas of the world where they live a long life, there's a little alcohol in their life, even if it's a glass of beer. I think probably from a health standpoint, from a cardiovascular standpoint, a little bit of red wine, just a little glass of red wine is probably the most healthy thing that you can do. But a little bit of alcohol is probably a good thing. Now, the alcohol have things called flavonoids. It lowers markers of inflammation. It actually lowers the toxins in your life, and it's good for the heart. And a little bit of alcohol is good for the brain. Number eight, people who have faith in their life, people who have religion, people who have God in their lives. Actually, studies have shown that they actually have a longer life as well. You have to believe that when it's all said and done, that there's a better world out there. I personally am not afraid of death. I try to teach my patients that you never want to be afraid of dying. If you're religious and you believe in the prayers that you hear when we die, I believe that when you die, you go to a better place. You go to paradise. And I believe that on the day that we die, I believe it's our birthday. It's our birthday in Christ. So it also allows you to live a better life because you know that there's a hereafter, there's a higher power that's looking at what we do. So when you live a good life like this, you know that you're going to go to a better place. So actually studies have shown that when you have religion in your life, you live a longer life as well. The 9th item is having the right tribe. So what that means is you want to have people, your friends, your community, people who you have long-term relationships with. When you have lots of friends, they take care of each other, you communicate with each other, you share your stressors, you share your joys, you share your fears, you live a longer life. I know that I work real hard to maintain good friendships, and they're there for me in tough times. So perhaps this is kind of related to the family thing, The more people that you have in your life, the more long-term good relationships you have, the better that your life ends up being. So having the right tribe is what I'll call it, having these good relationships, and those of you who have good friends, you know that there are problems in your life, you can go to them and they'll be there for you. And on the other hand, when they're having problems, you're there for them as well. And this gives your life meaning. It gives your life meaning when you can share these things. So those are the 9 rules that I think that will help you to live a good, long life. If you want to live to 100 years old, this is how you do it, guys. 80% of it is related to your lifestyle, the way you eat, the way you sleep, what you drink, your activity, your sexual activity, your friendships. These are all good things. So I wish the best for everybody. We're here in HealthTexas to help you. Our doctors look at these things as well. It's not just a question of medications. It's a quality of life. It's the way that you live it. It's the way that you die as well. You know, dying in peace and being surrounded by your family and friends. This is what life is all about. So we stress these things in our medical group. Our doctors are here to help you in that regard. Again, most of living a long life is not taking medications. It's eating well. It's sleeping well. It's staying active. It's being with your family. Okay, guys? So we're here to answer your Medicare questions. We have a number that we'll list here that you can call if you have any questions for us. I'm going to end again with Daniel Buettner's quote that I quoted at the very beginning, because I think it's appropriate. So you want to drink without getting drunk. Good luck with that. Love without suffering jealousy. Eat without overindulging. Never argue. I know it's kind of difficult. We all get on Facebook and we tend to argue about different things with these anonymous people, but that's not very healthy. And every once in a while, with great discretion, misbehave, get into a little trouble, enjoy life. So remember, guys, it's not about your life. It's not about your genes. 80% of the decisions we make rely in the way that we live our lives, not with what we're born with. So if you can remember that and you live a good lifestyle, you stay active, you stay close with your family and your friends, you have God in your life, you drink a little bit, I promise you'll have a longer, better life. So God bless you. We're at HealthTexas are here for you at any time. Again, we'll be happy to answer your questions with the phone number that we provided. God bless. Godspeed.